Good evening. For creationism, I have no use. That comes from the introduction to the book written by one of my four guests tonight. We're going to find out in just a moment who that was and how he'll explain that line. I'm going to pass this to Harold first. He is the one. It's not our science educator, Tony Mitchell, but our biblical studies expert, Harold Weiss, who said, for creationism, I have no use. The question I have for him is, I know that he affirms God as the creator. How do we connect, or how do we differentiate believing in creationism and believing in God as creator?
Well, I think it's very important for all Christians to affirm that God is the creator. And I am sure that all biblical authors agree and emphasize and see themselves as the subjects, the creatures of God the creator. So to affirm that God is the creator is, I think, fundamental for any Christian. Now, creationism is taking one of the many accounts that we found about creation, or the many descriptions we have about creation in the Bible, and absolutizing it as the only way, or the biblical way, of understanding creation. And not only that, but also claiming now that we live in a scientific age, that the biblical account is scientifically valid. Now, to take the account of creation in Genesis 1 or Genesis 2, or to try to say that Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 are just one and the same account, and to say that this is the way in which God created the world at a time when there was very little understanding of chemistry and physics and astronomy. I mean, that was okay, I guess. But to now say that that is good science, in fact, it is the scientific way of saying things because it is the true way of saying things, and to therefore denigrate science as the one that wants to give a different account of how God created the world, or wants to deny that God created the world. That is a totally different situation. In other words, creationism is not biblical. It is a modern ideological construct made to serve as a battle cry against science, and particularly against evolution. So I would think that it's a very clear distinction between believing in God, the creator, as all the biblical authors do, and saying that the biblical account of how God created the world in Genesis 1 or Genesis 2, or both Genesis 1 and 2, is scientifically valid. That is what I understand to be creationism, and that is what creationists are trying to impose in the educational system in the United States.